Alrighty. Got my bonnet on. I am set. Alrighty. Picking up where we left off. I'm just gonna begin at the beginning of this page. 76. If anyone but a Green Gots goblin tried that, they'd be sucked through the door and trapped in there, said Griphook. How often do they check to see if anyone's inside? Harry asked. About once every 10 years, said Griphook with a rather nasty grin. Something really extraordinary had to be inside this top security vault, Harry was sure, and he leaned forward eagerly, expecting to see fabulous jewels at least. But at first he thought it was empty. But he noticed a grubby little package wrapped in a brown paper lying on the floor. Hagrid picked it up and tucked it inside his deep coat. Harry longed to know what it was, but he knew better than to ask. Come on, back into this infernal cart, and don't talk to me on the way back. It's best if I keep my mouth shut, said Hagrid. One wild cart ride later, they stood blinking in the sunlight outside Gringotts. Harry didn't know where to run first now that he had a bag full of money. He didn't have to know how many galleons there were to a pound to know what he was holding more money than he'd had in his whole life, more than even Dudley had ever had. Might as well get you a uniform, said Hagrid, nodding towards Madame Malek's ropes for all occasions. Listen, Harry, would you mind if I slipped off for a pick-me-up in the Leaky Cauldron? I hate them Gringotts carts. He did still look a little bit sick, so Harry entered Malkin's shop alone, feeling nervous. Madame Malkin was a squat, smiling witch dressed all in mauve. Hogwarts, dear, said Harry she said when Harry started to speak. Got the lot here. Another young man being fitted up just now. In fact, in the back of the shop, a boy with a pale, pointy face was standing at the footstool while a second witch pinned up his long black robes. Madame Malkin stood Harry on a stool next to him, slipped a long robe over his head, and began to pin it to the right length. Hello, said the boy. Hagrid's too? Yes, said Harry. My father's next door buying my books, and my mother's up the street looking for a wand, said the boy. He had a bored, drawling voice. Then I'm going to drag them off to look at racing brooms. I don't see why first years can't have their own. I think I'll bully Father into getting me one, and I'll smuggle it in somehow. Harry was strongly reminded of Dudley. Have you got your own broom? The boy went on. No, said Harry. Play Quidditch at all? No, Harry said again, wondering what on earth Quidditch could be. I do. Father says it's a crime if I'm not picked to play for my house, and I must agree. I know what house you'll be in yet? No, said Harry, feeling more stupid by the minute. Well, no one really knows until they get there, do they? But I know I'll be in Slytherin. All of our family have been. Imagine being in Hufflepuff. I think I'd leave, wouldn't you? Said Harry, wishing he could say something a bit more interesting. I say, look at that man, said the boy, suddenly nodding towards the front window. Hagrid was standing there grinning at Harry, pointing 2 large ice creams to show he couldn't come in. That's Hagrid, said Harry, pleased to know something the boy didn't. He works at Hogwarts. Oh, said the boy, I haven't heard of him. He's sort of a servant, isn't he? He's the gamekeeper, said Harry. He was liking the boy less and less every second. Yes, exactly. I heard he's some sort of savage. Lives in a hut on school grounds. Every now and then he gets drunk, tries to do magic, and ends up setting fire to his bed. I think he's brilliant, said Harry coldly. Do you? Said the boy with a slight sneer. Why is he with you? Where are your parents? They're dead, said Harry shortly. He didn't feel much like going into the matter with this boy. Oh, sorry, said the other, not sounding sorry at all, but there were our kind, weren't they? But they were our kind, weren't they? They were a witch and wizard, if that's what you mean. I really don't think they should let the other sort in, do you? They're just not the same. They've been brought up to know our ways. Some of them have never even heard of Hogwarts until they get a letter. Imagine. I think they should keep it in the old wizarding families. What's your surname, anyways? But before Harry could answer, Madame Malkin said, That's you done, my dear, and Harry, not sorry for an excuse to stop talking to the boy, hopped down from the footstool. Well, I'll see you at Hogwarts, I suppose, said the drawling boy. Harry was rather quiet as he ate his ice cream. Hagrid had brought him chocolate and raspberry with chopped nuts. What's up? Said Harry. Nothing, Harry lied. They stopped by to buy parchment and quills. Harry cheered up a bit when he found a bottle of ink that changed color as you wrote. When they had left the shop, he said, Hagrid, what's Quidditch? Blimey, Harry, I keep forgetting how little you know. Not knowing about Quidditch. Don't make me feel worse, said Harry. He told Hagrid about the pale boy. And Hugh said that people from Muggle families shouldn't even be allowed in. You're not from a Muggle family. If he'd known who you were, he's grown up knowing your name and your parents are wizard and folk. You saw what everyone in the Leaky Cauldron was like when they saw you. Anyways, what does he know about it? Some of the best I ever saw was the only ones with magic in them, and in a long time a line of muggles. Look at your mom. Look what she had for a sister. So what is Quidditch? It's our sport, wizard sport. It's like soccer in the Muggle world. Everyone follows Quidditch, played up in the air on broomsticks. And there's 4 balls, sorta. Hard to explain the rules. And what are Slytherin and Hufflepuff? Schoolhouses. There's 4. Everyone says Hufflepuff are a lot of old duffers. I bet I'm in Hufflepuff, said Harry gloomily. Better Hufflepuff than Slytherin, said Hagrid darkly. There's not a single witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. You know who was one. You know who was at Hogwarts? Yeah, and years ago, said Hagrid. They brought Harry's school book. They bought Harry's school books in a shop called Flourish and Bolts, where the shelves were stacked to the ceiling with books as large as paving stones, bound in leather, books the size of postage stamps and covers of silk, books full of peculiar symbols, and a few books with nothing in them at all. Even Dudley, who never read anything, would have been wild to get his hands on some of these. Hagrid almost had to drag Harry away from. Curses and counter-curses, bewitch your friends and befuddle your enemies with the latest hair loss, jelly legs, tongue-tying, much more, by Professor Viticus Viridian. I was trying to find out how to curse Dudley. I'm not saying that's not a good idea, but you're not to use magic in the Muggle world except in very special circumstances, said Hagrid. And anyways, you couldn't work on any of them curses yet. You'll need a lot more study before you get to that level. Hagrid wouldn't let Harry buy a solid gold cauldron either. It says pewter on your list. It says pewter on your list. But they got a nice set of scales and weights and potion ingredients and a collapsible brass telescope. Then they visited the apothecary, which was fascinating enough to make up for the horrible smell. A mixture of bad eggs and rotten cabbage. Barrels of slimy stuff stood on the floor. Jars of herbs, dried roots, and bright powders lined the walls. Bundles of feathers, strings of fangs, and snarled claws hung from the ceiling. While Hagrid asked the man behind the counter for a sudden supply of some basic potion ingredients for Harry, Harry himself exclaimed silver unicorn's horn at, oh my god, examined silver unicorn horns at 21 galleons each and minuscule glittery black beetle eyes, 5 nuts a scoop. Outside the apothecary, Hagrid checked Harry's list again. Just your wand left. Oh, and I still haven't got ya a birthday present. Harry felt himself go red. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Tell you what, I'll get your animal. Not a toad. Toads went out of fashion years ago. You'd laugh at it, and I don't know, and you'd be laughed at, and I don't like cats. They make me sneeze. I'll get you an owl. All the kids want owls. They're dead useful. Carry your mail and everything. 20 minutes later, the left oh my god. Elopes left Elopes Owl Emporium, which, oh my god, sorry, which I also have my retainer in. I know you can probably tell, but yeah. Which had been dark and full of rusting and flickering jewel-bright eyes. Harry now carried a large cage that held a beautiful snowy owl, fast asleep in her head under her wings. He couldn't stop stammering his thanks, sounding just like Professor Quirrell. Don't mention it, Hagrid said gruffly. Don't expect you'd have a lot of presents from the Dursleys. Just Ollivanders left, Ollivanders. Just Ollivanders left now. Only place for wands. Ollivanders, and you gotta have the best wand. A magic wand. This is what Harry had really been looking forward to. The last shop was narrow and shabby. Peeling old gold letters over the door read Ollivanders, makers of fine wines since 382 BC. A single wand lay on a faded purple cushion in the dusty window. A tinkling bell rang somewhere in the depths of the shop as they stepped inside. It was a tiny place, empty except for a single spindly chair that Hagrid sat on to wait. Harry felt strangely as though he had entered a very strict library. He swallowed a lot of questions that had just occurred to him, looking instead at the thousands of narrow boxes piled neatly right up to the ceiling. For some reason, the back of his neck prickled. The very dust and silence in here seemed to tinkle with some secret magic. Good afternoon, said a soft voice. Harry jumped. Hagrid must have jumped too, because there was a loud crunching noise, and he quickly got off the spindly chair. The old man was standing before him, wide-eyed, pale, shining like moons through the gloom of the shop. Hello, said Harry awkwardly. Ah, yes, said the man. Yes. I thought I'd be seeing you soon, Harry Potter. It wasn't a question. You have your mother's eyes. It only seems yesterday she was here herself, buying her first wand. 10 1/4 inches long, swishily made of willow. Nice wand for charm work. Mr. Ollivander moved closer to Harry. Harry wished he would blink. Those silvery eyes were a bit creepy. Your father, on the other hand, favored a mahogany wand, 11 inches, pliable, more power, and excellent for transfiguration. Well, I say your father favored it. It's really the wand that chooses the wizard, of course. Mr. Ollivander came so close that he and Harry were almost nose to nose. Harry could see himself reflecting in those misty eyes, and that's where Mr. Ollivander touched the lightning scar on Harry's forehead with a long white finger. I'm sorry to say, I sold the wand that did that. He said softly. 13.5 inches, Hugh. Powerful wand, very powerful, and in the wrong hands. Well, if I'd known what that wand was going out into the world to do. He shook his head, and then, to Harry's relief, spotted Hagrid. Rubeus Hagrid! How nice to see you again. Oak 16-inch, rather bendy, wasn't it? It was, sir, yes, said Hagrid. Good wand, that one, but I suppose they snap in half when you got expelled, said Mr. Ollivander, suddenly stern. Yes, they did, yes, said Hagrid, shuffling his feet. I've still got the pieces, though, he added brightly. But you don't use them, said Mr. Ollivander sharply. Oh, no, sir, said Hagrid quickly. Harry noticed he gripped his pink umbrella very tightly as he spoke. Said Mr. Ollivander, giving Hagrid a peacy look. Well, now, Mr. Potter, let me see. He pulled the long tape measure with silver markings out of his pocket. Which is your wand arm? Well, I'm right-handed, said Harry. Hold out your arm. That's it. He measured Harry from shoulder to finger, then wrist to elbow, shoulder to floor, knee to armpit, and around his head. As he measured, he said, every Ollivander wand has a core of powerful magic substance, Mr. Potter. We use unicorn's hair, phoenix tail feathers, and the heartstring of dragons. No two Ollivander wands are the same, just as no two unicorns, dragons, or phoenixes are quite the same. And of course, you will never get such good results with another wizard's wand. Harry suddenly realized that the tape measure was a measuring between his nostrils, was doing this on its own. Mr. Ollivander was flitting around the shelves, taking down boxes. That will do, he said. The tape measure crumpled onto a heap on the floor. Right then, Mr. Potter, try this one. Beechwood and dragon heartstring, 9 inches. 9 and flexible. Just take it and give it a wave. Harry took the wand and, feeling foolish, waved it around a bit, but Mr. Ollivander snatched it out of his hands almost at once. Maple and phoenix feather, 7 inches, quite whippy, try it. Harry tried, and he had hardly raised the wand when it, too, was snatched back by Mr. Ollivander. No, here, ebony unicorn hair, 8.5 inches, springy. Go on, try it. Harry tried it, and he had no idea what Mr. Ollivander was waiting for. The pile of tried wands was mounting higher and higher on the spindly chair. But the more wands Mr. Ollivander pulled from the shelves, the happier he seemed to become. Tricky customer, eh? Not to worry, we'll find your perfect match here somewhere. I wonder now. Yes, why not? Unusual combination. Holy and phoenix feather, 11 inches, nice and supple. Harry took the wand. He felt a sudden warmth in his fingers. He raised the wand above his head, brought it swishing down through the dusty air, and a stream of red and gold sparks shot from the end like a firework, throwing dancing spots of light onto the walls. Hagrid whooped and clapped. Mr. Ollivander cried, "Oh, bravo! Yes, indeed! Oh, very good! Well, how curious! How very curious!" He put Harry's wand back in its box and wrapped it in the brown paper, still murmuring, Curious. Sorry, said Harry, but what's curious? Mr. Ollivander fixed Harry with his pale stare. I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter, every single wand. It so happens that the phoenix whose tail feathers in your wand gave another feather. Just one other. It is very curious indeed that you should be destined for this wand when its brother gave you gave you that scar? Harry swallowed. 13.5 inches. You. Curious indeed how these things happen. The wand chooses the wizard, remember? I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he, you know who, did great things. Terrible, yes, but great. Harry shriveled. He wasn't sure if he liked Mr. Ollivander too much. He paid 7 gold galleons for his wand, and Mr. Ollivander bowed them from his shop. The late afternoon sun hung low in the sky. Harry and Hagrid made their way back to Diagon Alley, back through the wall, back through the leaky cauldron, now empty. Harry didn't speak at all as they walked down the road. He didn't even notice how much people were gawking at them on the underground, laden as they were with all their funny shaped packages, with the snowy owl asleep in its cage on Harry's lap, another escalator out to Paddington Station. Harry only realized where they were when Hagrid tapped him on the shoulder. Got time for a bite to eat at your before your train leaves? He said. He bought Harry a hamburger, and they sat down on a plastic seat to eat them. Harry kept looking around. Everything looked so strange somehow. Are you all right, Harry? You're very quiet, said Hagrid. Harry wasn't sure if he could explain. He'd just had the best birthday of his life, and yet he chewed his hamburger trying to find the words. Everyone thinks I'm special, he said at last. All those people in the leaky cauldron, Professor Quirrell, Mr. Ollivander, but I don't know anything about magic at all. How would they expect great things? I'm famous. I can't even remember what I'm famous for. I don't know what happened the night my parents died. Harry leaned across from the table behind the wild beard and eyebrows. He wore a very kind smile. Don't you worry, Harry. You'll learn fast enough. Everyone starts at the beginning at Hogwarts. You'll be just fine. Just be yourself. I know it's hard. You've been singled out, and that's always hard. But you'll have a great time at Hogwarts. I did. Still too, as a matter of fact. Hagrid placed Harry onto a train that could take him back to the Dursleys, then handed him an envelope. Your ticket for Hogwarts, he said. 1st of September, King's Cross. It's all on your ticket. Any problem with the Dursleys, send me a letter with your owl. She'll know where to find me. See you soon, Harry. The train pulled off the station. Harry wanted to watch Hagrid until he was out of sight. He rose in his seat, pressed his nose against the window, but he blinked, and Hagrid had gone. The journey from platform 9 3/4. Oh my God. 7, 6, 113. It's a 31-page chapter. How long have I been? 23 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call it quits there. Adios.